All right, welcome back to Making Picks. My name is Nathan. We're here with Mark. It's been a little bit since we've had an episode here. We kind of go into it in SG Live, so definitely check that out. But Mark, how's it going? How's it been the last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, however long it's been?
Yeah, it's definitely kind of been a little intense. I think when we first started this little thing, I don't think we had any intentions of missing weeks, but
Yeah,
hey, this is it's something that kind of came up. We need to focus on a couple of core things. We feel that we're making some pretty good progress in those areas. For more details on that, definitely check out, or tune into Statement Games Live. Get into a little bit more details of what's been transpiring from an operational perspective of the past couple of weeks. Our intent is to, hey, let's pick things kind of back up here. I'm still trailing. We haven't forgot about the records. I'm 21 for 40, a little over 50%. Not great. Basically
yeah,
means that I'm losing like a little bit of money. You're probably, I guess, call it, over the break even kind of line when you constitute like the juice and things like that. You're 24
sure.
kind of for 40. Got a pretty, action packed kind of like, weekend of sports coming up. Baseball just started the other day, so we're working baseball back into the sports equation, which basically means, hey, you know what? The NFL draft is right around the corner.
It
And
is.
we got some great college basketball games taking place this weekend. By next week, NBA will kind of be back in front of the national primetime kind of spotlight. So there's a lot of things that have actually taken place, and appreciate people who are sticking with us. I don't know,
Yeah.
anything you think that that I should be adding or touching upon?
No, I think it's good. A lot of the information for why we kind of took the break really goes into Mark goes dives deep into it in SG Live, so definitely check that out. We kind of shook it up a little bit this week, more interview style, and I think that there's a lot of great information just on where SG is going, as well as just small business life in general. And we talk about how we've got a special guest for this episode. We'll get into it a little more later. But kind of we got Kris Jenkins, Villanova star from, you said, 2016, hit that final championship winning shot. Um, Great guy. We're gonna have him on later. We got a pre-recorded interview with him from yesterday. But before we do that, we should talk a little sports. It's been a little while. So, what's been going on in NCAA basketball? I've got to admit that while I have been watching some of the games, I'm not the most educated on it. I know that, the bandwagon was Oral Roberts, Loyola Chicago. Both of those guys are out. And now we're looking at, two number one team seeds. We've got a number two, and then I'm trying to think who's the other one in the final four. You want to go into that a little bit, Mark?
Yeah, sure. So, it's just been a complete freaking shit show from an NCAA kind of like perspective here. Exciting kind of stuff here, but a lot of upsets, a lot of kind of wheeling and dealing, so to speak here. So heading into the Final Four, you got a pretty interesting, really what should be an exciting game with a number one and a number two seed between Baylor University as well as Houston. But then you also have a little bit of surprise, not in school name, but obviously UCLA is a very well recognized college basketball kind of program. A little bit of an off year,
Mhm.
coming into the tournament as the number 11 seed, and then basically you just have freaking Gonzaga. That's a complete kind of powerhouse. Haven't lost a game at
Oh,
all
wow.
this
Yep.
year in college basketball, completely destroying teams throughout the NCAA tournament. They are the clear cut favorite number one seed throughout the entire tournament, playing in a Final Four kind of game against the number 11 seed. So I guess we kind of hear in the interview that UCLA has just as good of a chance as anybody. I'll say that they don't. There's no freaking way that UCLA will compete with Gonzaga come tomorrow. But hey, you know what? I've had to take my foot out of the mouth. Have had to take my foot out of my mouth in the past, so it wouldn't be a complete shock if
Yeah.
I had to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, there was that whole period of like the first month of the year where you just
It was
kept
hot.
shoving your foot deeper as you were hot on your picks. But
Yeah,
with
it's the
Thanos,
hockey
I'm
stuff. The hockey
inevitable.
stuff kind of like killed me. I had
Yeah.
to.
It was
I
when
don't
you
know.
started bringing on ringers. You know what? I'm an interviewer. I know how to get the right information from people. I just relied on them, and hey, it brought me back. I just have to buoy myself until football starts, and then boom, I'll be back. But with that, let's just go right into the interview with Kris. Like like I said, he's a great guy. And here it is.
All right, Nathan. So I wanted to bring on a very special guest for this week's episode of Making Picks. I don't really think he needs much of an introduction here, considering he hit one of the biggest kind of shots in NCAA tournament history. It's Kris Jenkins, um, star from Villanova University. Kris, how's it going, man? How you holding up?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I want to thank y'all for having me. Looking forward to the opportunity, and let's get talking about some good topics.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, we've had a little fun over the past couple of days here. You've been helping us out and promoting some special NCAA tournaments, on statement games here. I got a couple of different questions that I want to just have a little bit of a fun with you. But let's start off with this. I mean, the last pro contract that you signed was in 2018. Obviously, you're playing a little overseas, in Germany. Um, and I know, and just speaking with you and Alex and things like that here, you're working your tail off. You're back in the gym. You're doing a lot of stuff here. So give us a little bit of an understanding of what you're up to today, what projects you're working on. Can we potentially see you back on the court? Give us a little bit of a rundown of what you're doing from a day-to-day perspective.
Yeah, so what people really don't know is I had a serious hip injury that I kind of kept playing through, and then it kind of came to its head, and I had to take a couple years off, make sure that it was okay, and now I'm in the process of finalizing that recovery, that rehabilitation process, and by the summertime, I think I'll be 100% healthy, ready to go for the next season to take somebody's job somewhere, whether that be in Europe or NBA, G League, just
Right.
whichever way the path takes me. It's just my journey up until this point, it was never easy, even at Villanova, getting to there,
Yeah.
getting to high school, even middle school, just my whole upbringing, my whole life. It wasn't the worst, but it also, it was just a journey, a tough journey. And I don't expect my professional career to be anything other than a good tough journey as well. So, y'all can definitely look forward to me getting back out there on the court in the near future. Like I said, I'm working back to get to being 100% this summer. And for the most part, I've just been, just staying safe, corona free,
Yeah.
just working as hard as I can, making sure that my mental is right, because that's important, and making sure that my body follows.
Yeah, so not to say that we're sitting here rooting for a pandemic, but in a way, did that help you just in terms of helping your body heal and recover instead of potentially pushing things to try and get back on the court sooner, knowing that, hey, look, you know what, we're in a little bit of a end of the world scenario, and I'm assuming that the extra rest and the shutdown of G League, NBA, and overseas stuff, in a way, it kind of helped you probably like a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely helped. I know it's gonna that can sound really bad, but
No,
it definitely
yeah, no,
did
not that it
help me.
sounds.
It definitely did help me with my recovery and my rehab process. And I think where it helped me more so was just mentally, like being able
Yeah,
to mentally find somebody to talk to, get some help. Just because as an athlete, you kind of feel like you're above certain mental issues. Like, nah, that would never happen to me, things of that nature. So I think it was very, very important for me, not also physically, but more importantly, just mentally, just making sure that I'm mentally strong and in the right place, and just having the right mindset, not just for basketball, but life in general, off the court relationships,
Mhm.
just all those things, man, just making sure that I'm being the best person that I can be, because at the end of the day, that's pretty much all I strive to be. Like, being a professional basketball player, NBA guy, I think everybody knows that about me. Like, I don't have to tell people that I want to play basketball at the highest level. Like, if I have to tell you that, then I feel like you don't know me or know the person that you're speaking with. So, I really take pride in being the best person that I can be. And, this time during this pandemic, while it was very, very hard and trying at times, not only for myself, but for the whole world, it also helped me a lot tremendously. And, I know that can definitely sound bad on the surface, but it definitely helped me.
Nah, but it's definitely. I mean, I obviously can use some tips and pointers on how to just kind of like calm myself down and making sure that we're staying focused. But yeah, the even kind of like what Nathan and I do from a day-to-day basis here, the mental aspect of like the job is hard. So kind of like with that in mind here, any kind of like tips or tricks that you can kind of like share with kind of like some of the little guys on how to stay mentally strong from a professional athletic perspective,
Yeah, I mean,
whether it's
just
breathing or I don't
yeah.
know, give us something here because I think
Nah,
it's something
so
we
I
can all use some
definitely
help with.
start my days off with just 2 or 3 minute meditations just to myself, put some meditation music on, just control my breathing, clear my mind, open my heart up, just just relax because everything can be so tense, with
Mm-hmm.
everybody wanting things to happen a certain way. And as an athlete, I want my career to go a certain way, and I felt like it hasn't up until this point. So I had to kind of learn methods and stuff to wind down, things of that nature. So I changed. I started meditating in the mornings, and that's really really helped me. I also just changed the things that I was listening to. Like I still listen to obviously my hip hop and R&B. That's never going to change. But just as far as like motivational speakers, just people that have a positive outlook and a positive message that they want to share, and that can be through a form of a book for whoever needs it and things of that nature. So that also helped me out a lot. And then I know it might sound crazy, but just the people around me, like just making sure that they have a positive mindset as well, whether that be from girlfriends to family members, brothers and sisters, and just I just try to make sure that I'm just a vibrant person, and just that meditation in the morning, it really really helps me a lot. And the things that I hear, things that I listen to, certain speakers, is just you just got to find a niche. You got to find what for you can help you calm down, and never ever forget whatever it is that you're doing. The journey is also a part of the dream. Like you can't get to your destination or anything like that without going through the journey. So you're gonna have your ups and you're definitely gonna have your downs. But it's how you stay grounded and stay towards the middle in both scenarios that kind of gives you a gauge on how you'll do.
Mhm.
Just kind of like on that topic here, I guess that's something that I struggle with here. I think Nathan, I don't want to speak for you, but I think you're kind of like in the same boat as well here. But yeah, as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, there's definitely a lot of ups and there's kind of like a lot of downs here.
Right.
And being as competitive as you are, do you sometimes have to kind of like take a step back and learn to appreciate and enjoy and almost like celebrate like the little wins and things like that here? Is that something that could potentially be like a struggle, and where getting back to what you're actually saying here, staying grounded, um, calm and stuff like that here, but you also need to appreciate the small little victories that you're racking up as well. Is that a challenge for you? Because we always want more.
Right.
I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if that's something that you can attest to as well.
Nah, for sure. Because all successful people are the most successful people. Nobody has higher expectations for them than they do themselves. So it's very, very important to celebrate your small victories, because if you don't, who will? No one will.
Hmm.
So it's very, very important for you to love yourself. Like, I know that may sound cliche and things like that, but it's really,
Yeah.
really important, from the things that you eat to the things that you drink to the things that you watch, to celebrating small victories, whether that be carrying the groceries all in the house at the same time. Like, it's something you never done before. Like,
That's
you just gotta
true.
find, like,
That's true.
because maybe that's something that you were really trying to do, and like nobody else will understand that but you. And you have to approach it like that. Like, not everybody will appreciate all the small things that you do, but you will, because you did
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
how you should really really approach it, because whether it be ups or whether it be downs, at the end of the day, it's still a part of your journey and what you're trying to achieve. And you can't change it, because it's what you're going through. So why not pat yourself on the back when you need it, and push yourself, kick yourself in the butt when you need that too? Like, it has to go both ways. You can't just have one.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
absolutely. Well, it's those small victories that you celebrate that gets you to those larger goals that everyone else can see.
Right.
And I really like what you said about meditating and stuff. I've been doing that for myself for years. I picked it up in a public speaking class because, you know, you get nervous, and when you're nervous, that's when you're going to make mistakes. So you calm down, and you're more likely to succeed at what you're trying to do.
Yeah, no question, man. It's definitely helped me out the past year or so. Just, you know, because when I first started doing it, it'd be like, oh, I'll do it today, and then, you know, it'd be another week, and then I'll try it again. But it wasn't until I started doing it consistently where I saw, like, okay, this actually helps me. Like, let me just take a couple minutes to myself, like not doing anything, not running anywhere, not listening to anything but the meditation music, and I'm present. Like, so many times, you know, we find ourselves running and we're doing this and doing that, and we forget to just be present sometimes, you know, like that's very, very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good for, you know, as you said before, you know, the whole COVID situation has been, you know, bad for a lot of people, but individually it's good to take what's in front of you and try and make something good about it. You know, that's a goal that I had a year ago, is what am I going to look like in a year when hopefully this is all over with, and how do I make, you know, my life better because of it. So I really like what you've been saying and what you did for you know, to progress that way.
I appreciate that, man, for sure.
Yeah, definitely appreciate the tips. I think it's all something we can learn from. It's great, you know, hearing from you. Let's turn the page like a little bit. We'll talk a little basketball. So I got the video up, man. If you want to share my screen here, I've been looking forward to kind of like, you know, asking this question like, you know, all day here, right? Now I'm sure you've seen this a million and one times, and now we're, you know, I mean, it's April 1st as we kind of like record the show here. So technically, I guess, you know, well, we're not in March anymore, but it's still kind of like, you know, March Madness, right?
Right.
So it's the same questions every single time, and I always kind of like, you know, thought to myself, yeah, hey, you know what? If I ever had somebody kind of like, you know, on like Kris, who made like a significant moment in sports here, the last thing that I'm actually going to do is ask him the question of how did it feel to kind of like, you know, win the shot, because obviously it's the greatest kind of like, you know, feeling in the world. But I wanted to reframe the question from a perspective, and I'll just go ahead and play the clip here for a second here. Basically, you know, how many times do you get asked this question of how did it feel to hit that shot? Is it fun? Is it annoying? Take me through, because it's been a couple of years now. I mean, it's hard to believe that, you know, it's
Right.
2016 and we're in, you know, 2021. Nathan, you can stop sharing my screen now. But I just wanted to, you know, throw that out to you. From that standpoint, fun, not fun. I get a kick out of it. It's getting kind of like, you know, old. Give me your take on this time of year and the number of requests that you get and things like that.
I think I'll just never get tired of it. One, because we won. You know,
Yeah.
like we actually won the game. So that was the most important thing. Like, we got the victory. But I hear that often, and I'm more so appreciative. Like, just growing up where I grew up, how I grew up, I just never dreamed of that, never thought of that. Like, outside of the, you know, the gyms that I'm working out in or the parking lot, like, it just never crossed my mind. But, you know, my favorite player ever is Kobe Bryant. So I just, my whole life, just always been that guy in that moment. Like, right here, I'll shoot. Like, it's cool. I'll get the last basket. Like, it just never occurred to me to ever get nervous or never want the last shot. Like, I always feel like I'm just comfortable. Like, it's weird. Like, I know it's probably weird to hear that, but it's just how I am. Like, I'm just so cool and calm in most situations. Like, I'm intense and I'm engaged, but like, even off the court, like, I'm just chill. Like, I just, for the most part, if you ask anybody what did Kris say he's doing, I'm gonna be like, I'm cooling.
Nathan, am I still sharing? Can you pull up my screen for a second here? I mean, I was looking at this too. All right, so we're looking here. Now keep in mind that there's 2 kind of like, you know, seconds left here.
Right.
Kris is not even at half court. He's got his arms up. He's looking for the ball. Right? I mean, you're 8 feet in front of the half court, kind of like in a line here. He's looking for the ball. And then it's one step, no hesitation. I guess kind of like, you know, that's what kind of like you need to do here. But Nathan, I'm done kind of sharing here. But if you had to put a number on it, because obviously there's a lot of people reaching out to you. They want kind of like, you know, this time of year, they want your thoughts, your advice, and things like that was taking place during the tournament. How many times will you get asked about that play around this time of year for the past 3 or 4 years?
Yeah,
Are we talking hundreds? Are we talking?
around this
All
time
right.
it usually skyjacks, just because
All
of
right.
the March Madness and things like that. So the Final Four is getting ready to come up, so I'm probably going to get asked more about it leading into the
Got
Final
you.
Four, and then the night before the championship game, I'll probably get asked about it a little more.
Well, technically, I'm not one of them. I rephrased
Yeah.
the question a different way.
Yeah,
I just want that kind of like on record. And ask
you
you how
added
you
some new
felt about
sauce.
that
You added
play.
some new sauce to the question.
But another thing that I was kind of like, curious about here, I mean, in 2015, you guys win the Big East championship, and in 2016, you actually lose in the finals of the Big East kind of like, championship. From a player's perspective, walk me through kind of like the mindset of like the biggest differences between, except for the obvious, but say like, a championship game for your conference, which is something that you guys are aspiring to win pretty much, year in and year out, especially under kind of like, Jay Wright, versus national kind of like championship game. I mean, do you kind of like put a sense of even more urgency on the championship game, or hey, you know what, I'm a player, it's a championship game here. There's really not that much of a distinction between the two. It's a championship game here. We want to go out and win it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, because you understand in college, like your days are limited. You got 4 years, you got a certain amount of time that you can do what it is that you need to do. So every game we approached it like it was a championship game. Like it was so funny just leading up to the actual NCAA championship game. Like we treated that game like we did every other game. Like, it was so crazy. Like even with all the media attention and all the travel and all this and that, like it was just like, yo, you don't want to know why this game is important to all of us in here? Because it's our next one. Like we get to go over there and kick their ass. That's why. So, that's just how it is.
Cool. I appreciate that. Speaking of kind of, kicking butt, so to speak here, give me kind of like, I mean, look, you're not in college anymore here, so I think you wouldn't have a problem commenting on this here, whether it's Georgetown or St. John's or Seton Hall, or maybe it's kind of like, somebody else. Like, give me the one collegiate team here where you see their logo, you see kind of like, that mascot like on the sidelines here, where your stomach kind of like starts turning. Give me the NCAA team from your perspective or from a Villanova perspective that you guys just absolutely can't stand or hate.
Oh man.
Like I want to kick their bleeping butt every single time, and I don't care. I'm not even going to be satisfied if it's by 2 points here. If it's not kind of like by 20 points here, I'm looking at that as a loss.
That's a great question, man. And honestly, everybody, bro. Like that's really how we approach everyone. Like when we were in school, bro, we really wanted to beat everybody by 40. Like that. Yeah. Like I really believe like that was our mindset. Like, bro, like this game shouldn't be close. Like we looking at the guys that's on our team next to us, how hard we work, how hard we prepare. Things like that. And then we look at the other side of the court, like, yeah, they may have a couple good players, but as a team, 1 through 12, like, bro, it's not even close. Like, we should really be smacking them, man. Like, I kind of feel like that's how we approach every team. Like, we never put one team above another team. Like, we put them all at the same level. Like, look, this is what y'all getting at day level. Like, that's just how we approach it, man. We want to smoke with everybody at any point. We'll travel to you. Now just tell your school to call us and set it up. It's cool, bro.
Equal opportunity hater.
Yeah, man. We gonna serve y'all. We gonna serve everybody the same dish, a hot flaming L. Shout out to Shannon Shaw. We gonna give everybody the flaming L, man. That's how we approach it.
What about kind of like player perspective? I mean, if you had to kind of like look whether it was pro or collegiately, one guy that you really said, hey, you know what, this kid can kind of like flat out play. Who was the toughest competitor on an individual basis that you kind of like felt you ever played against?
Oh man, that's crazy because
one of them.
you play against so many great.
So many of them, right?
Yeah, like you play against so many good people from our time where we would play against Providence that had Chris Dunn and Ben Bentil.
Yep.
To Seton Hall where they had Isaiah Whitehead and Carrington Carter and Desi Rodriguez and Angel Delgado. Even to Creighton my freshman year when they had Doug McDermott. Like it was just. I
forgot about that. McDermott was he was a senior when you were a freshman?
Senior when I was a freshman. So like to get to see somebody who dominated like that, to see that up close in person, like that was like I had never seen nobody hoop the way that he hooped. Like it was, bro, it was crazy. Like he gave us 40. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I just never seen that. Like I never seen nobody do that to us. Like I'm saying, that was my freshman year. Like I had never seen that. Like this dude, he gave us 40, like 39. That's 40, bro. He gave us 40. Like that's I was wild to me. Like, bro, he really just gave us 40. And like I said, I knew the guys that were on our team, how we prepared, you know, how hard we worked. So for another guy on the opposing team to give us 40, like he really got to be nice.
Yeah, yeah. You know what, we're gonna have to kind of like, you know, pick your brain maybe at a future date here and get some more stories out of you. But I mean, even with everything that you're kind of like, you know, doing right now, do you have time to watch the games for the tournaments, or are you kind of like, you know, busy? Like, are you?
Oh no, I definitely tune in, especially when my Wildcats were playing. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
tuned in every second, man. I just love basketball, so you
yeah.
know, like I feel weird if I'm not watching. Like it has to be something or someone that's very important for me to like not watch the games. You know, like even NBA, shoot,
Yeah.
even NFL. Like my love for my Eagles is just as much as
Nobody's
my
perfect,
basketball in
Kris. It's all
general.
right.
Like that, my love for football, the NFL, watch
Mm-hmm.
like my Sundays, like I'm not doing any, like if I don't have workout or a game, like don't call me,
You.
don't text me. Like Sundays, I'm watching
Yeah.
NFL. Like
There it
that's
is.
it.
Yep.
Well,
So
since you're watching like a lot of games here, and this is what I was leading up to. I mean, UCLA, did they have a shot against Gonzaga? Do you see Gonzaga as the clear cut kind of cream of the crop here? I mean, it's looking pretty easy for them here, and I guess you can make a little bit of an argument of easy bracket, which I love how guys like me tell guys like you how what brackets are kind of like, you know, easy. We
right,
don't know what the hell we're freaking talking
yeah,
about here. We
that
see like
that
the
story
numbers
is
here.
always funny. They had an easy bracket. Okay.
But just give us 2 seconds worth of thoughts here heading into UCLA and kind of like, you know, Gonzaga. Nathan and I are going to be making some picks around the Houston Baylor game here, so we'll kind of like, you know, save the best for last here. But before we jump onto that here, thoughts on Gonzaga? UCLA have a shot? Do they don't have a shot here? What are you thinking?
I mean, obviously they have a shot, but it's just how much of a shot.
Yeah.
I don't think they have much of a shot. Like,
that's all I need.
you know, like, do they have
Yeah.
a shot? Sure. Yeah, they got a shot. Just like every other team had a shot. It just didn't go the way that they wanted it to. So I just think Gonzaga's been, they're just so complete. Like, you know, they have good coaching. They have inside presence. They have perimeter presence. They have a freshman that's going to be a lottery pick. They have guys that come off the bench that just know how to play. Like they're just a well-rounded, well put together team. Like with some young guys, some older guys, and guys that just know how to play. And everything's, like you said, everything's been looking real easy for them. Like I don't think we've seen a team cruise through the tournament like this ever.
Yeah.
Like I don't think
Cruise
it's
the
ever
tournament. How
happened.
about the season? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
they've
The
been kind of
season
like, you know,
in
hot
general,
from the jump here. What about like on that perspective? Because you hit like on a good point here. I mean, obviously they're a well-rounded team here. They have kind of like, you know, older guys and things like that. I mean, it's not like they got, you know, 5 starting freshmen kind of like on the floor here. As somebody who's kind of like, you know, won the championship, do you put more of a premium on a team that's kind of like, you know, been together, you know, longer, as opposed to, I guess, a lot of like, you know, one and done scenarios, so to speak, or kind of like younger players here, or hey, you know what, if you can play, you can play. It really doesn't matter.
yeah, if you can, like, obviously having a certain level of experience can help you, but that's only if you allow it to. Like, if you allow your experience to work in favor of you, because your experience can also go the other direction. Like, you guys can be too comfortable and things like that. So,
Got you.
it's kind of along the lines like, look, man, if you can play, it's going to come down to the tougher team. Like, when you get down to the NCAA tournament, especially the Final Four, things like that, every team is playing at a high level. Whether that team is as good as you or not, they're playing on a level in which allow them to get to the Final Four, which means they can play well enough to beat you.
Yeah,
So it's just
good point.
who's going to be tougher
Mm-hmm.
and who's going to be smarter. That's really what it's going to come down to. Who's going to be tougher, because, you know, you're probably not going to get your first option on your shot or your second option just because teams are good. They scout. Players know, like, look, all eyes are on me. you ain't about to get me on the first go round. Like it's just how it is. It's going to come down to the habits that's been built over the time of the season. Like, did you slouch at this point in the game? Like, are you used to slouching at this point in the game? Because if you do that at this level, you slouching at this point could turn a 5-point lead that you have to a 7-point deficit. Like it can really, really change things. So it's going to come down to just who's tougher and who's smarter, because everybody is playing at a high level. Everybody's good.
Gotcha. No, I appreciate it. And then, I mean, obviously, you get the 1 and the 2. You got Houston kind of like, in Baylor. Disappointing. I mean, we were up by 7 at halftime last kind of like, Saturday. I thought we kind of like could have gotten past Baylor, but obviously they advanced to the Final Four. They've knocked off kind of like Villanova. Has the wounds healed, so to speak? Are we ready to look at this game from a little bit of an objective kind of perspective here? You rooting for Baylor to advance, to at least kind of like say, hey, you know what? At least we lost to the finals kind of like team. What the heck with them, man? I hope freaking Houston smacks the crap out of them. Which way are we leaning towards?
Let's just say that I'm not rooting for any team in the Final. That's the first. Not rooting for any of them. I just want to see 2 great games and then a great national championship. So I could really care less who wins. Like, whether if Baylor wins, cool. Like, and then if Houston wins, it's like, cool. But we just going, hey, I'm gonna watch the game like everyone else. If something crazy happens, I'm gonna be excited just like everyone else. But yeah, I'm not cheering for hell no, I'm not cheering.
Anything specific that you're looking for? Kind of like win that 1-2 game, Houston Baylor? Anything that we should keep an eye on, or Nathan and I are going to be making some picks in a little bit here. Any tips of wisdom, or hey, look, guys, if you're not locking in on this particular scenario, you're off the mark here, or is it, hey, you know what, good luck. It's 2 kind of like good teams here. Let's just hope it's living up to the billing, so to speak.
Yeah. So the Baylor game for sure. Going into that game, I know I'll be watching the rebounding matchup as far as like just Baylor. If they can out-rebound them, how much they out-rebound them by. Like, if Houston can keep up with the rebounds, things like that, I'll be watching for that. And I'll also be watching how Houston attacks the matchup zone, because when most teams see zone, they have a zone offense. But when you play against a matchup zone or a zone like how Syracuse plays, it'd be better if you run your man-to-man offense, because that helps you more than running zone offense. So I'll be looking at that matchup, the matchup zone versus the offense that Houston decides to run, whether it be zone offense or their normal man-to-man offense, which I feel like will help them more than running zone offense. So if they just run zone offense and pass the ball around the perimeter, they'll lose by 30. So.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks. Now you didn't say it, but I'll go ahead and say it here, since UCLA has no shot over Gonzaga. On a scale of 1 to 10, do you actually feel that Houston or Baylor has a legitimate shot of beating Gonzaga in the finals game here?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if Baylor were to win, I feel like they will.
I think Baylor matches up a little bit better against Gonzaga than Houston.
Inside, outside, yeah, like my man from Gonzaga, the one with the stash, number 2, by the way. Something about people that wear number 2, man. Be cooking. That's all I say. Dudes that wear number 2, different dudes out there on the basketball court. But he's a problem, and I think Baylor has not only the size, height wise, but the physicality to make it a bit more challenging, because that's what you want to do. Like at a certain level, man, it's not more so stopping anybody, because guys are good. Like, you're not really stopping anybody. Like, even when somebody misses a shot, like, if you don't block it, like, you really didn't have anything to do with the possession. Like, if you didn't get a hand on the ball or anything like that, because guys are so good. Like, you could make that same play and then they make 8 shots in a row. Like, it's just how it is. Like, so I'll definitely be looking forward to both matchups, both Final Four games. Should be exciting, and it's just so good to see that, even with all the COVID stuff, that the NCAA was able to do something right finally.
I mean, look, I know that there's probably a million other questions that we can probably ask you, and maybe we'll get to it at like a later point here. But I don't know, you're kind of like pressed for times here. So last question, then we'll let you go. I really appreciate you coming on board here, but just give us kind of like a little insight of what we can actually expect from Villanova heading into 2021-22 season.
Yeah, I mean, just look for the guys to get better, man. That's just, I think that's the beauty of our program. Like, the culture is so strong, but you see guys progress from their freshman year to their senior year, and some guys make a jump. Recently, guys have made jumps where they don't have to stay 4 years. Like, it all depends on your growth. So, just guys are gonna get healthy. We'll bring in some good players, recruiting class. We'll get tougher, we'll get better, and then next year we'll just try our hands, see if we can get it done then. But I'm looking forward to the guys just getting healthy and just being ready to go, because it was taxing on them. This season was probably more taxing than any other season in Villanova basketball history, just because of all the extra COVID things that they had to go through, all the quarantine, the lockdowns, things of that nature, and they didn't have the necessary freedom and fun time that we had to blow off steam and things like that. That was kind of taken away from
them.
Mm-hmm. I definitely want to applaud them and give them respect for how they handled the season, because I'm not sure if any of the teams that I played on could have did it. And I know that for a fact. And if you were to ask any other guys that played on the team any other 4 years that I was there, they would probably tell you the same.
We're breaking protocol.
Like, look, I love y'all, but y'all got to leave. Get away.
Gotcha. Well, Kris, hey, man, thank you so much. Appreciate you spending a couple minutes with us today. We look forward to tracking your progress. We look forward to seeing you get back on the court, continue to get strong, continue to stay healthy, and we'll catch up with you pretty soon.
Man, I really appreciate y'all, man. Thanks for having me. Go Cats. And shout out to y'all, man. I really, really appreciate y'all. You don't understand. I really do, man. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, guys.
All right, so let's go launch right into our picks for this game. Marc, do you want to go into what game we're picking for, and a little bit about the rules of statement games and why people should be playing?
Yeah, sure. Statement Games is just a game. Go ahead and access it via www.statementgames.com. You can also find us in the Apple App Store, Statement Games Fantasy Sports. We're going to present you with a list of props that are specific to the Baylor University versus Houston game taking place tomorrow, April 3rd, right? Today's the 2nd? Or is today the 3rd?
Throwing me for a loop. Yeah, it's the 2nd.
Right. So
I haven't looked at a calendar.
We're recording on the 2nd. Obviously, you'll be potentially watching this on the 2nd, probably in the evening hours. But this game is taking place on Saturday, April 3rd, Easter weekend. For those, and we mentioned this in the last show as well, for those of you who celebrate, Passover, happy belated Passover. For those of you who are celebrating Easter, happy Easter in a weekend. Hopefully you'll have some time to have a little fun with us through an alternative form of fantasy sports. But we're presenting you with a list of props or statements that are specific to this sporting event. Probably about 50 to 60 of them. They're broken down into various different categories. It's your job to go through the list and pick 10 of them. As you make your picks, you need to rank them in order of confidence from 10 through 1. So when the game plays out, if your number 10 pick becomes correct, you get 10 points. If 9 through 1 are incorrect, you just have a total of 10 points. You will play in a league of 8, and the person with the most points from correct picks at the end of the Houston-Baylor game wins. I guess we'll throw in a little bit of a special offer for those of you who are watching this show. If you go 10 for 10 with your picks, in the past couple of weeks here, we have been promoting an autographed picture of Kris hitting the game-winning shot. So if you go 10 for 10 with your picks, that autographed pick is yours. We have multiple autographed picks, so it's not like we just have to give out one of them. But as you'll find out from Kris here, if you don't make picks and you don't play, you're not going to go ahead and win. This has happened before. It happens all the time. I know that we've had a little bit of bad luck of people not going 10 for 10 with your picks, it's definitely a little bit of a bummer that Villanova isn't playing in this game. But I think we'd be a little remiss if we didn't kind of throw that offer of an autographed pick of Kris hitting that game-winning shot against North Carolina in 2016, and that will go to everybody who can go 10 for 10 with your picks. Here's the catch, though. It's your first entry only. So you're more than welcome to play in multiple contests as the contests fill up and they come off the board and new ones kind of pop up. But it's going to be your first kind of entry only, just for fairness perspective.
Sure, absolutely. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this game. I mean, we did with Kris a bit, but so how are you feeling about it, Marc? I've been reading a little bit into it and trying to get some research on it, and it could be a good game.
Yeah, I mean, this is again. I mean, I've stated that the Gonzaga UCLA game is not going to be competitive. So for perception perspective, this is the better game that's on the docket. And number 1 versus 2. I mean, there's really nothing more to say other than number 1 versus number 2. Winner advances to the national championship game. So the stakes are kind of fairly high. Both teams have had phenomenal kind of tournaments. They're both playing kind of at high levels. Baylor is a bigger team. I'm a little concerned with them. Should this get into a foul shot shooting contest? I guess you can kind of say a little bit of the same with Houston here, but I am expecting points. I do expect Baylor to win, and nice. I expect Gonzaga to win here. And I think we're in the process of getting set up here for what should be a awesome championship game.
Awesome. So with that, why don't you kick us off with the first pick?
All right, bigger team here. I just alluded to it here. So why don't I lock it in as number 10 here? Let's go Baylor Bears over 4.5 blocks.
All right.
Number 10 pick.
Here it is.
Unless you that's my first pick, unless you think it should be slotted into a different confidence slot.
Well, let's get into this a little bit. Maybe we can reorganize right at the end, and if there's any thoughts there, kind of from a team perspective. So I'm actually going to go. I like the idea of this being a little high on the high scoring side. I think that 135 is 35.5 is something that could be reached, and the total points could go over. So I like that one there. What do you got for yours?
All right. Well, if you like points, I do kind of like Baylor in the game. So points in Baylor. Let's take Mr. Butler, Jared Butler, over 16.5 points.
All right. There's that. So then we're gonna talk high scoring affair, getting into 3-pointers. I'm gonna say that Baylor can sink at least 9 3-point shots.
Wow. All right.
I'm gonna go with that one. So what do you think, Marc?
All right, so let's go over into the assist categories. Let's stick connected with Baylor. Let's get Mitchell. Let's just lock him in at over 6.5 assists.
All right, there we go.
I just like Baylor in the game.
Not
to say that, or unlike Kris, who doesn't have a rooting interest and is just rooting kind of for a big game or a good game here. I'm rooting for Baylor. I want to see them pull it out.
All right. I think I'm on that wavelength too. And so we're gonna go with Baylor over 70.5. Where are you? There it is. Baylor over 70.5 points for the game. It's gonna be high scoring, so if Baylor's going to win, they're going to have to put up the points. And if they're getting those 3-pointers, this all kind of goes into the whole mentality of them winning and getting enough points to cover all of these bets. So I like that. So looking at this now, what do we got? That's all of them. Do you see any place you might reorganize? Maybe you weren't so hot on the 3-pointers, so maybe we drop that down.
Well, it's your pick. I mean, we're playing in this environment. We're competing against one another, but we are playing as a team. So
Sure.
and you're hotter than I am at this point here. So who the heck am I to be telling anybody, what should be reordered and not reordered? So
Sure.
you stick with your guns,
we're
and
not
we'll
playing
go
with the
from there.
ringer this time, so we're just doing those top 6 picks. We'll do offline our last 4, and so that no one can go and steal our whole lineup, and maybe I don't know what happens if we go 10 for 10. Do we both get signed?
Damn right we do.
There we go.
We'll make it kind of going to happen here. Don't tell anybody what contest that we're actually playing in, but obviously it's Statement Games Live. That's the username.
Yeah.
So I will go ahead and anybody who's watching this and can comment, give the video a thumbs up, drop a comment below. Anybody who is fortunate enough to be competing against Statement Games Live in this contest, and it's just going to be one contest. We're not going to tell you what contest number that actually is going to be. But if you actually happen to beat Statement Games Live with your picks here, I'll go ahead and top up your account with an additional 250 coins.
Oh, there you go.
If you just beat us,
Yeah. A little competition against us, getting people to comment on the YouTube. It's a good one. All right. So with that, I'm going to pull this
10 for 10
off.
with your picks. You get the autographed picture. If you beat us, Statement Games Live, if you come across that profile in the Baylor Houston game here, you beat us, and you're fortunate enough to thumbs up on the video, drop a comment. In the comment, you got to state who your username is. I can't spend a lot of time trying to figure out who you guys kind of are. But if that username that I see in the comment section happens to beat Statement Games Live and any of the Houston Baylor games that we're playing in, we'll top you up with an additional 250.
Sounds good. All right. Well, make sure that you're following Statement Games at Statement Games on all social media accounts. Give the YouTube channel a subscription. IDP, Statement Games Inc. I've get so used to saying my own sometime. And then finally, make sure you're playing Statement Games. Obviously, if you're making picks, you're playing it. But just to reiterate, statementgames.com or in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. So with that, Marc, another making picks in the books. Let's see where we land after this one. Maybe you make a comeback, or maybe I extend my lead. Who knows? But it's good talking to you again, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys. Take care. Have fun.